Hey YouTube, JP Dillon. Today we're looking at a 1984 Emerson EC133 13-inch color television. This came to me from a fellow YouTuber, and it's got a very bizarre symptom. And that every once in a while he says that he loses a little bit of width, but then the vertical gets huge. Literally overscans by about 200%. And you can just see the distinct scan lines after that. It's overall in very nice shape. It's got the cute little pop-up handle here. Very simple machine. Not a lot of service controls on the back. It's pretty much just a plug and whatever else. You've got your 75 and 300 ohm. There's your serial number and date of manufacture, again 1984. So what we're going to do is, well, first I'm going to try to see if I can make the symptoms show up, because I haven't honestly powered it on yet. I'm just going based on what he says. I turned it on very briefly when he turned it here and I didn't see the failure, but he says it's intermittent. So the next thing let's do is get a signal hooked up to it and see if we can roust the failure. Alright, so we got it hooked up to my DTV converter. Let's turn it on and see what we get.
Your skills and sight.
It's very bright. Holy crap, it's bright. Yeah. And that's with the brightness turned all the way down. Alright. And I do see that the vertical is very stretched. Yeah, normally there's supposed to be about an inch below that channel indicator on the upper right hand corner, and that's excessively bright. I mean, it's almost white out bright. Alright, so yeah, everybody in the world is listening to this testimony about the lady who got quote-unquote raped by Kavanaugh. Guilty until proven innocent now, but that's another story. Anyway, let's get this thing apart and see if there's any evidence that he's been messing with it. I do see that the this is supposed to be out to about here, and so I have confirmed his symptom, but holy cow, how do you even watch that? Oh, and there's something interesting. Look at that bar on the side of the TV. I don't know if it's progressively growing the longer the set stays on. Sorry for the blanking. It's so bright. But yeah, definitely width shrunken and height increased. Let's get it open and see where we're at. Alright, so here it is with the back off. This is a very simplified television set. You've got your audio output transformer here. Here's your little power supply area. There's your color and IF. It's got like a jungle IC back here, which is a UPC 1371C. We may have to look that up. Auto color. Oh, that's interesting. Service switch way the hell back there, rather than at the rear where it's accessible. And it's got a traditional AGC control, not the RF AGC control you commonly see on these. Lots of bad capacitors. These blue Sanyo things here are notorious for going bad. So are the purple Matsushita caps there. Oh, well, there you go. We've got something here. That capacitor looks like it's ruptured. And those points there definitely need attention. And the jacket on that large capacitor there is starting to shrink back. That one there, look at that. That one back there, that one's definitely seen some heat. So I definitely think we need to go over this board. Now this is your horizontal output. This is your drive transformer. This is probably your wave shaper and all that sort of thing. Back there, in that corner there, that's your vertical drive. So that probably needs attention too. And there's some presets back there. It's got an Orion CRT in it. So this was kind of a cheapy. I like their warnings here. Warning, live chassis. And the good old-fashioned X-ray warnings. Alright, let's get it up on its face and take a look at the bottom of the board. So this is kind of what I was expecting. Definitely signs of overheating. You can see up in here, there's your SCR, which is part of your power supply. That big fat capacitor that was all shrunk and disgusting looking. And then over where that capacitor ruptured and those resistors came together, we have some destruction of the board here. It's hard to see. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. But the electrolyte has gone through the board, so we will need to repair those traces. But yeah, that's we've got some work cut out for us. I think the next thing to do is to grab the ESR meter and pretty much confirm what my suspicions are, that most of those caps that have overheated or have the shrunken jackets are probably dead. And maybe if we're lucky, if we just replace the bad caps, it will all snap back together. Well, that doesn't explain the excessive brightness, but let's fix the disabling failure first, and then we can work on tweaking it. So let me grab my ESR meter. And just in case anybody's curious, I keep getting these questions: who makes this ESR meter? No longer in production. It's Independence Electronics, which was bought up by somebody, and I don't think they make this model, or if they do, the ones that they make now aren't to the quality that this is. But this is 11 years old, and it's been dropped, and it's been really roughly handled. The probes that come with it are excellent. I've never had a problem with these. The cord is nice and supple. It's well shielded. The accuracy of this thing is excellent. I really like using it. I bought a spare before the company went under, and then I bought one after the company was bought up, and the quality of it sucks. It looks the same, but it doesn't behave the same. So if you can find a pre-2013, I think it was, 2013 Independence Electronics capacitor wizard, these are actually a really cool thing. But I digress. Let's get to actually checking these things. And let's see here. Let's take a look inside. So definitely that one there, which is capacitor 732. And let's see. That is dead. Pretty much what I thought. And let's come over here to this other shrunken head guy here, the one that ruptured, which is going to be C714. I'm pretty sure that one's dead. Oh yeah, that one's dead too. And then I've got this giant non-polar thing here next to the horizontal output. What does this do? It's hard to hold the camera and do this at the same time. That one still tests good. So my thought is this is kind of a recap job. We really need to go over this thing and replace all these bad capacitors and touch up the board work. And just kind of go section by section. Obviously the high voltage and the sweep is the most important. I have a feeling that the reason why we have the shrunken raster horizontally is due to a low B voltage condition, probably caused by the loss of filtering, since we got that nice black bar on the side, which is affecting the SCR and the ability to regulate the power supply. So that's probably why it had the main failure, but we do need to take care of the things in the vertical, clean up the board, do the soldering. So yeah, what let's do is let's check a couple of more. I'm gonna check a couple more capacitors off camera, find out if there are any more, mark them on the board, and then we'll replace the bad caps, do some soldering and touch up, and then see where we're at. Alright, so I've identified 4 capacitors which are just outright open. There's this one down in here, C720, 714. There's this one up here, and then there was another one that I had marked that was kind of questionable. I may or may not change that one, but definitely we're going to change the dead ones. So I'm going to grab some solder wick and an iron, and we're going to pop these parts out, and then we'll see what they look like. I'm betting that most of them have peed on the board, just given the amount of corrosion that I see here around the leads. There's that one. There's this one over here, which is really bad, which definitely got into the board somewhat. There's one down here too, C720, that's probably needs to come out. Didn't quite test right. So if you're curious, the areas of concern are power supply, which has an open cap, our horizontal wave shaper, which has an open cap, which could have something to do with the poor width, and then there's another one down here in the vertical circuit. It's not dead. I doubt that that's really the reason why the vertical's gone crazy. I think it's a power supply and waveform problem. So we're going to replace those caps. We'll just do the 3 for now and leave the questionable one in there, and then touch up the solder work on the board and test it again. Alright, so let's grab our solder wick. And we'll start on the obvious one up here. Bad part about when the electrolyte mixes in with the solder is it definitely is a little more challenging to get out. So I've got that one loose. Let's get the other one here in the vertical circuit. Oh, and by the way, I would hope that anybody with electronics knowledge watching these videos would have discharged their power supplies. Because obviously if you don't, you're just asking to draw sparks and hurt yourself or hurt other parts of the machine. Okay, so that's number 2. And the other one you can't really see because it's down below this panel. It's about here. But I'm going to reach in here and see if we can get this one out. Oops, sorry, bumped the little camera stand lamp thing. Come on out. Some of these Emersons have terribly weak foil traces. This one isn't the case. I'm usually pretty careful on these because if you sneeze, the foil traces pull up. Alright. So we got that. Let's actually pull the parts out. Alright, so we got this guy here, which is glued to something, so that should be fun. There's that guy there. Jamicon, my favorite. And I'm going to make a little dot here on the board that the negative was facing towards me. Always good to mark stuff, just in case the silk screening is wrong. Here's the one that ruptured, and that definitely is not happy. I think what we're going to do is scrape away some of the debris on the board here. Okay, and this one is a 4.7 at 160. And we'll make a mark that the negative was facing out. Alright, so it's 1, 2, and just drop it. Oh well. It's getting changed anyways. And then we've got this one back here. And pull this one out. And that one looks like a, goodness, hard to tell what that is. .33 at 350, something like that. Yep, that one's dead. Look at that. It bulged and peed everywhere. Okie dokie. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I'm thinking that's a 33 microfarad at 250 volts. Definitely power supply related. Alright, so let's see what we can get our hands on as far as replacements. I've got stuff kicking around here, but let's take a look. Alright, so here's where we're at. I couldn't find a 4.7 at 160, so I just made one up here. I didn't have a 10 at 160, but I did have a 10 at 250, and I've got a 33 at 250 that I pulled from probably another set like this that still tests good. So we're gonna pop these capacitors in and then do some touch-up resoldering and see if that actually fixes it. And if so, then the next part of the video will be just doing the remedial maintenance and then do all the setup adjustments, and this should be a happy set. So I'm going to pop these in here and just touch up those bad connections, and then we'll turn it on and see what happens. Alright, so with the capacitors replaced and some touch-up, let's see if it works. High voltage, sound, much better. Now I've got brightness control. Look at that. That looks a little better. I've got contrast control. Vertical is still a little bit high. Also notice that that black bar on the right side is gone. I've got full width now. Didn't have that before. Let's turn up the color a little bit. No color. Fine tuning? Anybody? Are those color bars? Yeah, I think I see color bars, like a bad oscillation. Interesting. I didn't even bother to turn up the color when I checked it. But I can see color rainbows flickering on the screen. There we go. 3.58 oscillator ain't working. And that doesn't appear to change with fine tuning. It's almost like I had it momentarily. Interesting. I think that's black and white, judging by the photography. And let's see here. And I got some vertical roll too. But no, fine tuning doesn't change anything. Let's go through the entire range. Still doesn't change anything. Auto colors don't change anything. I do have that nice brightness control though, but no color. Alright, so we got one problem down and we've got more to go. Nice sharp picture though. Grayscale's good, just no color. I have colored snow though. Interesting. Definitely need to tweak the vertical. Lock that in a little better. It was starting to roll. I love digital. It's like either I work or I don't. 0 or 1. Okay. Well, that concludes part 1. Obviously, we've got some more work to do. But we have solved the problem of the power supply and sweep for the most part. It's still a little bit high on the vertical, but I'm guessing that can be adjusted. But obviously, the next major problem is no color. There is no color reproduction. So we need to take a look at that. But that's another time. In the meantime, thanks for watching the video. More stuff to come.